Hey everybody, welcome back once again to an exciting week of RetroGameFix.com's Retro Jones podcast number 87, where this week we're going to talk about pinball, the 3DS, and also how to keep your budget straight while collecting everything. Enjoy! Hey everybody, once again, this is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
And here we are.
Man.
On our weekly podcast, changing things up a little bit.
God, how's it feel? It's been a big week.
Has it?
I feel like it has, man, with the Sega Master System collections, the 3DS XL.
Yeah.
You got a pinball story you haven't told yet, and then
I got lots.
Yeah,
of
and then during the week, specifically, I think Thursday and Friday, maybe, or even yesterday, we kept talking about keeping your collecting straight and how much money it costs and how to allocate. I think we got a lot to talk about today.
I think you're right on that. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead, start us off?
Well, let's kick it off. Let's start with the 3DS XL, or not even the XL. The new 3DS, the new Mario Super Land.
I was going to say it's not an XL.
It's not an XL. So, so this came out on Friday, and so for those that don't know, the Nintendo released a normal size version of the new Nintendo 3DS. And they did this already with an Animal Crossing version that had Animal Crossing plates. And they just did it with Mario. And so the big difference here is it's a smaller 3DS, and you can replace the faceplates. It has cool colored buttons, and it's the new Nintendo 3DS. That's about it. So essentially, you could have bought an Animal Crossing 3DS and put new plates on it, but it's a little more enticing when Mario's on the cover, and so,
especially the price point too.
$149.
Well, in this week you said it was 10% off,
and it was 10% off. Yes, so I called you yesterday because they had them in stock, and a lot of places have went out of stock on these. And I called you. I was like, "Hey, Mitch, should I buy this?" And we kind of have this thing where it's always easy for me to spend your money and for you to spend my money.
It's very easy.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah, you're like, should I buy this? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you should buy it.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you buy it? So,
duh.
So I pick up the 3DS and I get home. And so it's going to be a little story about my journey into getting my new 3DS.
That's kind of what we do here. Anyways.
Yeah, it's always something. So I get home and I go to Target. I don't know if this is everywhere, but Target's open till about 11 o'clock around here. And I maybe everywhere. But anyway, I went at about 9:30. And I get out there, pick it up, get home. It's about 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And I notice when I get home, the box is messed up.
So, like, what do you mean by messed up?
Like, the top of the box was, like, smashed in, so you could actually see, like, the brown cardboard, like, almost like it was cut or smashed.
Oh, I see. So you could see, like, under the glossy finish or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And so...
Because you called me up, like, right afterwards, and you're like, am I going to care about this? And I was like, dude, that's totally a personal question. I don't know. Are you?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to care about it. And
I'm like, yeah, of course you're going to care about it. It's going to drive you crazy.
Especially because I always put the boxes on my collection shelf. So I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to run back out and exchange it. So anyway, I run to a different Target that was closer. Now, the Target I bought this from had like 5 in stock, but online, the Target I went back to said it only had 2 in stock. And so I go check. I couldn't find any on the shelf. So I go back up to customer service and I say, hey, I didn't find any of these. Could you check stock? They said, yeah, it says we should have 2. And they went to scan the receipt to do the thing. So apparently at Target, you can't do a return at a different store until the following day, until the inventory or something catches up.
Like the system updates or
something. Who knows? I don't know. It's annoying. So anyway, I was like, all right, screw it. I'll go back to the other location. So I drive all the way back to the other location, get it exchanged. Everything's perfect. I get home. I swap everything out. I do the way more troublesome system transfer than it should be, using my PC and these SD cards, and then I ended up putting a 32 gig SD card into my 3DS. Anyway, I get through all of that, and I wake up this morning, and I realize there's a 10% off. And so I'm like, all right, I'd like to have 10% off.
Oh yeah.
And so anyway, I go back to the store that I bought it from. I'll try to make this, I don't want to go into 100% details here, but I'll try to make it as quick as possible. So I go back to the store that I bought it from, and I brought it in with the 10% off coupon. I say, hey, I got this coupon. Can you do a price adjust? The kid's like, no, I can't do the price adjust because it's a one-day thing. Okay, fair enough. So can you return this one, this box, and then just resell me the specific box? Because the problem is I can't actually return it because I already did the transfer. And he said, no, I can't do that. And I'm like, really? For real? And he's like, no, I can't do that. I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to go buy one from the back, and I'll be back in just a second to return it with my other receipt. Mm-hmm. So I go to the back, I buy one, I come back up, I try to return it using my receipt, return the new one with my receipt from yesterday to get my $160 back to save the $15. He's like, I can't do that for you. All right, fair enough. Fuck it. I'll go to another store. So anyway, I go to another store to try to return it. Come to find out, I'm using a gift receipt that doesn't have the matching serial number from the serial number that they scanned.
I didn't even know, honestly, I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing. And so it got declined. And I was like, what the fuck? So I leave, not realizing that's actually the problem yet. Go to another store thinking it was just something screwed up. Then on the way, I realize, oh, it's because of the serial numbers, because I look at it. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I don't recommend doing this because it's kind of a dick move. But since their policies are ridiculous and the kid wouldn't return the one and just let me rebuy the one, I'm going to work the system. So I take the contents of the new 3DS out of the current box and put it into my old box with the correct serial number on it. So now there's a box and a 3DS that have mismatching serial numbers on it. I go into the new store. Now here's the problem. I was not using the receipt that had my return and exchange from the previous night. So the receipt I was using didn't have the new UPC symbol. So I go into the new store. The return doesn't go through. Then it hits me that I need to use the other receipt. So I go back, get the other receipt, then go back to the store. The person that's exchanging it this time opens up the 3DS, sees that the serial number on the 3DS does not match the box. She looks at me, and I'm like, just acting like nobody's business. And again,
cool.
I would not recommend doing this. I'm being very clear. But if they wouldn't just let me return and rebuy, I was going to work the system for my $15. This is kind of a dick move. I don't feel great about it, and it totally was not worth my time to save $15. But I was committed. She doesn't say anything. She just gives me the look and goes, so you didn't open this? I said, no, I didn't open it. I have an XL at home. I just thought it would be ridiculous if I had to.
Yeah.
And she returned it. And so there it was. I saved my $15.
Damn, dude. How much time do you think you spent on saving your $15?
Hours.
Way probably more.
It's the principle. It's the principle.
You could have made minimum wage and work those hours and probably made more than $15.
I certainly could have. It's the principle of the fact that if the kid would have just returned it and let me rebuy the same box, there wouldn't have been an issue.
Well, don't they have some kind of return policy where you can or some kind of policy? I know Lowe's, for example.
Well, they do. He would have let me return it. The problem is
I'm talking about the discount or whatever. Like Lowe's will honor that within 14 days or something. I know that because I've used it before.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's just because it was a 1-day coupon thing, I think, is what he told me. The whole problem is he would have let me return the 3DS. He just didn't want to let me return the one that I only had the box for and then rescan that same box, right? And I couldn't return the 3DS because I already did the transfer on it. So it's like I can't actually return it with the 3DS because I need that 3DS because I already transferred all my system data. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't clicking. So I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I'll work the system here. Yeah, I don't feel real good about it. I'm not gonna sit here and say I feel good about it, but
you know what that reminds me of?
I was pretty committed. Once he wouldn't do it, I was like, that's a challenge.
There's like principalities and shit.
Yeah. So what's it remind you of?
That reminds me of one time, like I guess it was like 5 years ago. My wife and I bought like a router, like a wireless router. And the thing crapped out in like 2 weeks. I mean, it just took a shit on us. And I already threw the box away and I already threw the receipt away and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to buy another one. So we go buy one. And I put the broken one back in the box.
Yep.
I'm not kidding you. I'm right behind a lady with a box full of clothes that smell like piss that she's returning, like cat piss. Like, clearly, she bought these items, took them home, the cat peed on them, and then is taking them back. Okay?
Yeah.
So, like, Walmart takes this. I'm not even kidding. Walmart takes this lady's clothes back that all smell like cat piss. And then we get up to the counter next, and, like, the lady takes it out of the box, checks the serial number, which we didn't think of 5 years ago, of course. Checks it against the box. This isn't the one that was in here. And I was like, oh, of course we were like, oh my gosh, how could you dare, how dare you? She gets her manager over. Her manager's like, nope, that's not the one that came with the box. And I was like, well, I never, that type of thing. And long story short, we didn't get to return it.
Oh, they didn't actually return it for you.
They did not return it at Walmart. And I was like, crack job, Ace. I was like, clearly you're in the wrong line. So like after this lady took this box of cat piss smelling clothes back to Walmart and they accepted them. I'm not even kidding. I wish I was lying about that. I wish I was telling you the story.
It's disgusting. It's just funny because I
get it. Look, that they shouldn't have taken it back for me.
No, they shouldn't have. It was just funny because for me, I went to a couple different places and they didn't even think twice about it because obviously I was trying to get one over on them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a dick move because someone else is going to buy this one. And hopefully they're not a collector and they just throw the box away and the UPC doesn't matter. Yada, yada. But it's just like, and again, if I would have checked like cheapassgamer.com, I would have known the 10% was coming today. I would have waited. But yeah. So anyway, I don't feel great about it. But that said, dude.
What are your impressions?
So I didn't really ever really realize it. No,
before you get into that. So tell me, is this just a new 3DS or is it some kind of like upgrade as far as the power goes and stuff?
Well, no, I mean the new Nintendo 3DS versus the other Nintendo 3DS. The new Nintendo 3DS branded the new Nintendo 3DS.
Right, because I have both. I have the old one and the new one.
So the new one, quote unquote, does have more power.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
this one specifically
does this have more power?
No, it's the exact same one as the new XL version that you have.
Okay.
Except it's smaller.
All right.
And so anyway, I had the Zelda version. Excuse me. And part of it, I never minded it just sitting, but I always tried to play it and laying in bed or whatever. And I always just felt a little extra bulky. Excuse me, goodness, and a little bigger than I wanted it, but I never cared, right? So this one pops up for $149. We go through the conversation we just had. So I pick it up. Man, here's the thing. I never liked the 3D on the old Nintendo 3DS XL. Right. My buddy had the new Nintendo 3DS XL, and I still didn't like it. Mm-hmm. I loved the 3D on the smaller version. It's
the big difference. There really is a big difference.
There
I said, I have the old the original 3DS on like the smaller version, and I have the new 3DS XL. And going back, because I just gave the other one to my wife, and I went back and played it not too long ago. I was like, holy shit! After playing the 3DS, or I'm sorry, the XL, like quite a bit, like the 3D is actually really better, a lot better.
Yeah, I agree, and it's funny because
it's a lot less irritating too.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that eye tracking when I used my buddy's
I don't like it.
XL, it didn't work real well for me. I don't know if it's just the fact that the smaller screen allows my eyes to focus better on the smaller version. I have no problem with the eye tracking on the smaller one. Maybe it's a placebo effect, but I played through half of Super Mario 3D Land today, and I have it on my XL, and I just didn't want to play it. And I get this. It's more comfortable, and it's just, I don't know. It's just a comfort to play, and man, I'm blown away by it. And I put the other plates on. I put the yellow plates on. I don't know if you looked at did you look at the Twitter?
I did. Uh-huh.
And I did my tour. The 3DS got to know the rest of my video games in the house, if anyone was interested in that. But
also went to the bathroom.
Yeah, it does go to the bathroom, yeah. I put the alternate yellow plates on because of the matte finish. The glossy Mario ones that come with it, dude, I had it set it down for like a half a second and then kind of was moving it around, and those plates scratched.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So I threw those in the box and put the matte plate on and just figure I'll keep it like this. But yeah, I feel like it's a worthwhile upgrade. Yeah. If you're kind of in a position where, you say, yeah, I want the smaller one and I haven't bought other ones. And like, if you just bought an XL, I wouldn't go get one. But like, if it's been a few years and you want to switch it up, the Nintendo NX probably is not going to be out until March.
I like the different colors of the buttons and all that stuff. Like aesthetically, it's pretty awesome looking. I think it's cool looking. But, it's me. I bought my XL earlier this year or whatever, my new 3DS XL, and I really got used to it. I like it as of now. I don't have any problems with it. I don't have any problems with. I always have the 3D cranked on that thing, and I've just adjusted to it, I guess. But if it weren't for that, I'd be all over it. $135 or whatever today. I totally would have jumped on that. But there is the other matter of spending like $7,500 on pinball machines. So
yeah. So anyway, speaking of pinballs,
couple things actually. I don't know. As if you remember, I was really angry about something last week, and I was like, it's too fresh. I don't want to talk about it.
Is it good enough to talk about now?
Yeah, it's resolved.
Okay.
I'm still not happy about it, but it's resolved. So I'll tell that second at least. So as everybody that's been listening to this podcast knows, one of the other big purchase that I have is I'm going to buy a Ghostbusters Pro as soon as Stern comes out with them. So I guess I don't really follow Stern's updates and all that stuff, or updates on like Pinside about Ghostbusters in particular. But last night, because it's been forever, I've been waiting for this for like probably a couple months at this point. And so anyways, I'm just looking on Pinside yesterday, pinside.com for anybody out there that doesn't know. It's like the greatest pinball enthusiast website ever. So I'm looking on there for Ghostbusters Pro, and I'm like just looking through information and stuff, and I see a bunch of threads about the exact same thing that people are just up in arms about. I had thought it was a production issue, like Stern just wasn't able to keep up with the demand and stuff, which I mean is partly the truth. It's not the truth, but the main reason, apparently a lot of people with the earlier versions of the Ghostbusters, like even the LEs, which are the super expensive. I mean, the retail on that is like $8,500. Granted, they only make 500 of them, but that's the deal on that. So with all the playfields, they're having problems with what's called ghosting, and of course, the joke being, what's wrong with a little ghosting on a pinball machine, right?
Well, especially a pinball
or on
named
Ghostbuster.
Ghostbusters. You're like, that actually sounds pretty amazing. What kind of special effect is that?
Cool. Yeah, ghosting on a fucking Ghostbusters. Awesome. Anyway, what ghosting is as well, and this is all stuff like, I haven't been into pinballs in years, so, and I never really was this far into them. Before was that ghosting means it's when they do the clear coat, and then over the inserts, like the clear coat kind of separates from the insert. You know what I'm saying? So like, you have a little bit. If you look at the insert, especially when it's off, you can see definitely a difference between the part that's not ghosted and the part that is separated. Like it's pretty. It really sucks, for a brand new thing that you haven't had for probably more than a couple months. That's since April.
All of a sudden, you start to see like legit wear and tear out of something. You're like, almost like if you bought a car and the clear coat started to bubble, almost, right?
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Right.
So it is very close, actually. Yeah, it's literally the clear coat is separating from the play field over the insert. So, a lot of people have been like, man, it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. I saw this thread where this one guy was like, everything looks great on my Ghostbusters Pro. And then he posted a couple pictures and people are like, dude, you have ghosting all over that thing.
They're like, no, it doesn't actually.
There's like, they pointed it out and he had like ghosting all over the place on that thing. He was like, oh, well, I guess I just didn't know what it was. So it's a problem with Stern apparently right now. And the thing is, it's not just with Ghostbusters from what I understand. It's a lot of stuff that they've been producing. So I don't know if it just had cleared a bunch of play fields at some point. It was just a bad batch or something like that. But man, what a disappointment. I mean, it's not like this stuff. It's not like you go down to the store and it's like a minor purchase. I mean, it's over $5,000, $5,500.
This,
for
this is the kind of
the
thing.
base model.
This is the kind of thing that for Stern, I mean, this is a big deal because they're going to have to honor that. And whether or not they have their own production doing these clears or they're outsourcing it, it's going to cost them a lot of money.
Well, because I'm thinking too. I'm like, what are they going to do to fulfill like their warranty on this? Because there is a 1 year warranty that comes with all of them. So of course, all these are going to lie within that. It's not like they can send them a new playfield and be like, hey, repopulate this, because not everybody that's buying these is a hobbyist. Not all these people are like, I live pinball. I do all this stuff, and plus on top of that, like I said, with the roller coaster Tycoon, I'll pay retail for it because I don't want a fucking project right now, Right. And you definitely don't want to spend $5,500 on a project pinball unless it's something awesome like a Williams Medieval Madness or like Circus Voltaire or something, Cactus Canyon, something awesome, that's worth a lot more than that. It's like, it's a brand new pinball machine. I don't want to have issues with any of this stuff. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, what is Stern going to do to fix this? I mean, are they going to send brand new populated playfields and be like, send the other one back? Or like, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a big deal if they don't replace the entire machine. I don't understand what they're going to do about it.
And I just don't know how they're going to, because the problem is
they might not. I mean, they might not.
They might. They may not.
Might just be like,
the problem here is like, how would they? I mean, logistically, you're talking about something that would cost hundreds of dollars to ship back. They would have to eat that shipping cost and ship these people another one, or send out a tech. I mean, it's going to be, I hate to say it, but this is the kind of F up that could, if they decide to honor it, could sink a company. And if they don't decide to honor it, could sink a company. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to sink them, but man, it should cost them. They should be humiliated about it. And, quality control. What's going on, guys? You've been doing this for how many years? Like I'd said before, it's like Stern, at least as a company, Stern now has been around since like the early 2000s, like 2001 or something. And before that, it was Sega, which had been around since whenever. And then before that, it was Data East. It's like you guys have been doing this for 30 plus years at this point. Like,
yeah.
How? Yeah, I understand shit happens sometimes.
Shit can happen, but at what point? Like, at what point do you not have one of these? I just hope it wasn't
something like we're trying to cut costs or something. I hope it's not any crap like that. Like, you guys finally have like, I mean, I don't say finally, but sometimes the hits are fewer and far between. You know, like I'd said on a previous podcast, you look at like the Transformers LE, which there are a limited amount of those, and those are the really expensive. I mean, when they come out of the box, it's like over $8,000, right? When I'm seeing those things for like $5,000 now, a couple years later, that's not a hit, you know. Like that's a total miss, you know. Or when I see the same thing with the X-Men, which came out just a couple years ago, like that's not a hit, guys. You guys have finally hit on. I mean, not finally, because there have been a handful of great Stern games that have been out, like that are classics. But like you hit on another classic right now, and you just I don't know if they're trying to cut costs or what they're trying to do. I do know that Stern's kind of like hush hush about this. They don't want to like they really don't want to acknowledge that much. And I know I'd seen some stuff where you know, when they'd been called, they'd been like, well, there are a couple machines that have ghosting issues or something. But it seems like all of them have ghosting issues of the earlier run. And I'm like, thank God I did not buy one of the earlier production runs. But I mean, I believe that that's what's taking so long with Stern right now. They need to make sure everything is, you know, what it should be. And I do appreciate that, because I don't want to have to deal with that. I really don't. And Stern doesn't want to have to deal with that either. So, you know, I've seen a lot of people that have just recently put in pre-orders that they're not going to get it until January of next year. But you know what I say, if I don't get it for another month or so, I'm okay with that. It seemed like there was some stuff to improve from the originals, and I really, really want one. But I'm willing to wait. You know, I'm totally willing to wait.
Part of me wonders if, you know, maybe they did not expect or didn't forecast the popularity of this particular pin, and with that, maybe some quality control went out of the way, and they said, what's the chances? You know, let's push all of these play fields through, or if they upped production, you know what I'm saying? And kind of just dialed back the, you know, quality assurance a little bit. And all of a sudden they pushed out all these play fields, and they're like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like trying to keep up with demand. They upped the production and dialed back the quality control. And the next thing you know,
well, it's hard to say. Problem. It's hard to say, because I've seen interviews with like, you know, I don't even remember what the context of this last one was, but specifically they're like, we need to make sure everything's perfect, because back in the day, you know, in all fairness, back when Williams was pumping them out, when Bally was pumping them out in their heyday, and then eventually they became one company. But, you know, when they were pumping them out to operators, and when there was still such a thing as arcades and all that stuff, man, you would have like F-ups all over the place on like some of these machines. I mean, some of them would be obvious and some of them wouldn't be obvious, but they didn't really need to worry about quality control, because a lot of time it was just being operated in an arcade. I mean, for a majority of it,
right? No one really cared in an arcade. But now that it's become
there wasn't as much like home use only. And nowadays it's primarily home users only. So I've seen them acknowledge that, like, look, we can't let anything slide through here. Because it's collectors, and collectors are not going to put up with that kind of stuff, which is all right. So I know they know that. It's just a screw up. If they had outsourced the clear coating and stuff like that, somebody totally blew it on that. And yeah. I hope they've, you know, corrected that error. I want a Ghostbusters. It doesn't make me not want a Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, really, it just comes down to customer satisfaction. And sure, it's a pain in the ass to have to wait. No one wants to wait, and especially on a premium product like this. But at the end of the day, quality is going to be the primary concern at this point. And hopefully, and hopefully the people that already purchased machines at a premium, hopefully they make it right by them as well. And you know, we'll see how that goes. It's curious. I mean, I'm curious to see how that plays out, because, like you said, they've had some hits and they've had some misses, and if they don't make right by their customer at this point, they better make sure that next release is a hit and that the quality is 100% on point. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, is that Ghostbusters is awesome. Like the theme, like I said, everything is on point about that. They have a great title here that everybody wants. And, I mean, right now, I mean, it's not going to matter. They're going to sell a ton of them. whether they have production issues or not. Some people are going to care and some people aren't going to care. The truth of the matter is, like the guy that was like, I haven't seen any ghosting issues on mine and posted the pictures. He doesn't give a shit because he didn't see it before, Now he sees it, so he probably cares more, Most people aren't going to notice. And it's just, I would probably notice. And if I didn't notice, who gives a shit if I don't notice? But like, I would probably notice. And it's quite it's a sizable sum of money. It's just one of those things where I was like, I don't think I've ever bought a machine where I haven't had some kind of, major headache right out of the door. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Recently.
Well, yeah. And before I even get into that, let me point out one other thing. So let's move on from the Stern thing. So I'll keep you updated, obviously. One of my friends, this is enticing as well. My friend Kyle, who is like arcade hound. I don't know how he finds I've been on warehouse raids with him and stuff like that. I mean, he's just got a nose for this stuff. It's amazing. But he had called me today and was like, hey, what are you looking to pay for a Ghostbusters? And I was like, well, I can get it for this much from a dealer and stuff. And he's like, well, I can maybe get it for this much from a guy in Colorado with like 10 plays on it. He's like, I'm going out there to buy some games and stuff, and I might be able to buy it, significantly less. And I was like, it's an earlier production one. So, if you can get it for this price, go ahead. If not, then I'm not interested. I'll just wait,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see. But let's go ahead. I'll obviously just, I'm going to be through the roof when I get that new one. You guys obviously will be the first to hear. So anyway, remember last week or the week before, I was talking about the fishtails, the Williams fishtails that had popped up on Craigslist. And I was like right there, right when the guy posted it, really close to me. He had it up for like $2,200 or best offer. It was like in perfect condition. And I was like, I should buy it, because it's a great game. And it was like, super underpriced. And I was like, well, I want my Ghostbusters, so hopefully the Ghostbusters doesn't screw me in the end. But anyway, so I'm like, I got to let it go. I want to buy it so much, but I got to let it go. And later that day, like the next day, there was the dude that had it up and was like $3,100 firm or $3,200 firm or something. Williams Fishtails. It's the same one, obviously. I put a couple LEDs in it and I fully shopped it out. It's like, dude, you can't fully shop it out in 24 hours when that should be like a 30-hour job. And my wife was like, unless you're like a meth dealer, a meth addict or something, who knows? But
he's like, I shopped this out. I took all the copper off of it and brought it to the pawn shop and bought another sack.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, dude. So anyways, that kind of pissed me. I hate. I don't want to hate on flipping because I've done it before, but I'm like, it pisses me off because I wanted that fishtails and I restrained myself to do it. And some dipshits out there, about to make $1,000 on it when I could have done that, So I guess when all is said and done, that's what pisses me off about it. So I saw it the next day. The guy reduced it to $2,900 firm. That was like a week or so ago. Today I look on it and the big dealer in town must have bought it from him, and he marked it up to $4,295.
Oh my God!
Which is, for this particular dealer, like he usually deals with a lot of people that don't really care about the value of the machine and stuff. But I would not pay $4,295 for this particular title. But if anybody's going to sell it to somebody that will pay that, this guy will. So from the original, it's been flipped twice since I've seen it originally, and I'm like, should I have jumped in on that? Maybe. I don't know. But then again, I didn't know when the stupid Ghostbusters was coming out, and I didn't want to be stuck with it. That's
kind of the tough part is you're sitting on this chunk of cash, and it's easy to nickel and dime your ass out of having enough money for the Ghostbusters. You know what I mean?
I'm the king of that. I could do that. Yeah, I've been restrained at this point. So So anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if I have the right to be pissed about it. I don't think I do, but I
don't know if you have the right to necessarily be pissed on a collector level, but I feel like on the level of God damn it, I feel you know what I mean. I feel like that's fine.
I think that's probably a pretty good accurate representation. I'm bugged right now,
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. You know, it's just one of those things where you just look at it and you go, God damn it. I was trying to, it used to happen to me with Amiibo all the time. When I was collecting Amiibo, I was like, oh, I'm going to leave that one for someone else that could use it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the eBay flipping hits ahead and you're like, I should have just bought that myself and flipped it. Because if I wasn't going to flip it, someone else would have. Yeah,
exactly. So anyway, I mean, I could have probably made at least an extra $1,000 had I done it. But the problem is, if I would have bought it, I wouldn't want to get rid of it. That's my problem, you know. I would have wanted to keep it, to be honest. So that's a problem too. Is like I can't really flip them because I just want to play them, you know. So I would have been stuck with it. I knew that, and that's the conclusion I came up to. That's why I didn't buy it, you know.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna get stuck with it. So anyway. Anyway, my story, and that's the last bit of pinball I'll talk today.
You don't want to hit on the dot matrix?
No, that's what I was getting into. I was saying that'll be the last thing that I talk.
Oh,
today.
yeah, for sure.
So anyway, going back to a couple minutes ago when we both commented on the fact that I had said, if I'm throwing down a big chunk of cash like that, if I'm paying retail for something, I don't want a project, right? Mm-hmm. I think everybody's in. I mean, it's like if you went and bought your your 3DS yesterday, and shit, like half the screen is missing, right? And unfortunately, if you want to take it back, they're going to charge you a 30% restocking fee. You know,
right?
Like. They might try to help you, but they're not going to try very hard. So this is what happened to me. So anyway, I bought my Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I love. And my wife, by the way, since she tries not to play it during the week because of work, and she's just trying to focus on that, she spent 5.5 hours yesterday playing Roller Coaster Tycoon straight. She went to bed at like 3:30 in the morning after the baby went to sleep, 5.5 hours straight. And then the day before, it was about 5 hours straight of that. So crazy. It's crazy. And I've been enjoying it a lot, too. It's a great game. So anyway, I'm very happy with the purchase for the most part, except for one thing. When I got the thing, and I think I don't remember if I'd mentioned this on a previous podcast or not. Had I?
You did mention, well, no, you didn't.
This issue.
You didn't mention the issue yet, no.
So right when I booted the thing up the first time, I'm like looking at the DMD, like the dot matrix display, like the little orange dots that make up the animations and crap, for those of you who might not know what I'm talking about. Like it's got the score on it and all that. It's like 90s games for the most part on up. It comes standard with that. So anyway, I'm like, I noticed right out of the box, I was like, ooh, that DMD looks weird. And it also sounds like, here's nerd speak right now, but it sounded like a color vector, like the chatter on a color vector monitor, which it basically sounds like, yeah, like it's straining, mm-hmm. You know? And I'm like, well, I've never had a DMD before, but that sounds weird and it doesn't quite look right. And my buddy's like, oh, it looks fine. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So we're playing. I mean, I hardly even look up at the DMD for the most part when I'm playing. I'm trying to like not drain the ball and stuff. And I'm trying to actually like get a high score. So I would turn it off, come back to it later, and I noticed that in some of the animations where there's a lot of stuff on the screen, like shit is either faded or missing. And I was like, oh man, what the hell's going on with that? So I contact the guy who's like, oh, some stuff gets bumped around, like reseat some of the pin, like connectors and stuff. So I was like, okay, I did that. Same result. I'm like, absolute same thing. So I do some research and it is called outgassing, where it's like when a DMD display is going, and this happens. I've obviously heard of this because I've dealt with alphanumeric and prior to that pinballs, for years. But anyway, outgassing is when it starts to leak gas, I guess. And then so you don't have enough to cover like the image, I guess. And if you keep it on for long enough, like the gas will heat up and it will expand, I guess. So you'll get a little bit more of the image, but not much. So anyways, I'm a little disappointed about this. So I bring it up to this guy and he's like, oh, yeah. I did bring this up on the podcast, by the way. I do remember this. So guy's like, okay, yeah, send it back to me and we'll replace it. And I was like, okay, fine. Okay, I'm not totally cool with the fact that I got to take it out of the machine. The machine's going to be down when I have to mail this to you, but whatever. So I do email the guy, and I was like, so is there any way that you can just send me the new one, and then I can send you the old one afterwards so my machine doesn't have to be down? And he's like, no, I have to verify that that's what the issue is. So I'm like, well, I guess my word isn't good enough. So I send it back to him, and like a whole week goes by, since I send it or whatever. It all happened pretty fast, actually. Within a week, I got the other DMD. I look at the thing as I open the box, and it's like scorched. It has like, and this is what I was so pissed about last week, by the way. It has like burn-in that I can pretty much see the little hand that's stern hand that's on the press start thing. I can see that burned into the screen. You know what I'm saying? It's like extra crispy. It's like on an LCD screen, like TV or LED.
It is major burn-in.
Just burn-in. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, fuck, I don't like the looks of this at all, because a lot of, from what I've been reading too, outgassing is very common with burned in stuff. I mean, you just know it's old as shit, These things don't last forever. So I plug it in, and I can see even less of the image than I could see before. So I see I can't even see the score. It's like faded all around the score. I can see maybe make out a number or two. And it's way worse. And it looks like shit because it's all burnt in too. So I emailed the guy back, for like the 20th time. I'm like, look, dude, and I'm not being unreasonable here. This is totally reasonable. Look, when I bought it, I specifically asked the owner of this shop, is this everything working 100% as it should work? Is that a fair assessment? And he said, yes, absolutely. So I said, okay, I'm getting a 100% working machine. Everything works as it should, I understand when shit just doesn't work sometimes, like when shit happens, in shipping and stuff like that. I get that. But to send me this piece of crap that is 1 billion times worse than the original one, that's like just a slap in the face,
Yeah, that was literally them being like, oh, so you think a little bit of outgassing is bad? Take this.
Yeah, and this guy's like, we didn't have any problems with it. On the machine we tested it on, it was perfect, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
that's an indictment on you guys being morons then, because this thing is in terrible condition.
You guys don't know what the hell you're doing, clearly. So, I've got we should put those pictures up on Twitter just to show, I've got these pictures. I'll send you one through Skype before we're done, and you can see how fucking ridiculous this shit is. There, I just sent you one. That's what it looked like. It's got there are supposed to be 6 digits there, and I can make out 4 of them, maybe 4.5 digits. So, anyways, the guy is basically treating me like I'm just being a pain in his ass, and I'm like, I'm not being a pain in the ass. I'm like, I just got the image. Was this the original or the one? This is the second one they sent me.
And in what shop was this?
Little Shop of Games in Fruitland Park, Florida.
Okay, cool. Because I don't usually want to put people on blast, but this is offensive.
Yeah, I don't even want to revisit this. Just let it go. As far as I can. Don't tweet it.
Right on. I won't.
But it's bad. It's real bad.
That looks like. That's really bad.
And this is the one he tried to tell me that oh, it worked perfectly here. Basically, I'm the one causing the problem. So basically, I sent him, he basically was being a dick about it. I'm like, look, I have been extremely patient about this whole situation. I have not been needy or any of that stuff about any of this. I'm just looking for what I was promised when I purchased this machine. This does not work. One way or another, if this thing worked at your location, it does not work now. Not even close. And I said, this is not going to do. This is 1 million times worse than the other one. So he's like, fine, I'll tell you what. I'll split the difference on you. I'll split the cost of a brand new DMD, which is bullshit.
And you're like, that's what I thought I was paying for to begin with.
It was, yes. But I was just like, whatever, fine, do it. So then he tries to tell me this shit where he's like, well, the owner, after I paid my half, he was like, well, the owner says not to send it out until you send the new one back. So I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What is wrong with you people? So I called the owner, and I don't know if the owner is I kind of get the vibe that, people that talk shit behind your back but are like nice to your face. I'm pretty sure this is the case with this guy. He's as nice as can be. Oh, oh yeah, you're needy. You're a fucking asshole. He's just joking around and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, this is like offensive that you actually, the more I think about it, the more pissed off I am about the one that you sent me. I was like, you send that thing out on Monday, like was agreed upon before I paid you the money for the new DMD. I was like, you send that out immediately on Monday, because this was on like Sunday or something. And he was like, oh yeah, we'll send it on Monday. And I was like, okay, well, your dude told me that you told him not to send it out until you got the old one back. After he told me it was going to be sent out on Monday. He was just being a dick. And he was like, well, if he told you that, then there was something wrong in the communication between us or whatever. And I was like, okay. Like, the thing that sucks about this is that they have good machines, like good titles that I was seriously considering buying a machine or two from. I know that sounds like just some stupid shit that somebody says when they're pissed off at somebody, but I was seriously considering. I could have bought 2 awesome machines from them if I would have decided not to get the Ghostbusters. And I was seriously considering it. There's no fucking way I'm ever buying anything from these guys again. The guy had sent me a thing back and said, oh, well, we've never had any complaints. And I was like, well, count this one as a complaint. You can't ever say that to anybody again. You have a complaint, Like, I'm not pissed about it at all. I don't have any feelings about it now, because on Wednesday, I got the new DMD and I popped it in, took the old one out, and guess what? Because this guy was trying to say, well, it can't be the DMD. He's trying to justify it by saying it can't be the DMD because it worked perfect at the shop. It's got to be something else. Like it was my fault, And so I popped this new DMD in, and it fucking works perfectly. No issues whatsoever. I've never wanted to email somebody back and be like, I fucking told you so. I fucking told you so. I fucking told you so. I definitely made sure to rub his nose in it a little bit, but I was like, I got the new thing today. I popped it in. It's beautiful and it works perfectly. No more display issues. Can you believe that? It was just this maddening situation. But it's for me. That's where it dies. I don't ever want to deal with these fucking people again. So that's what I was pissed off. That's what I was pissed off about last week. And I was just like, I was so pissed because this week was the week that I got the new DMD. And here's the thing. I definitely appreciate how good it looks now, which I probably wouldn't have done before. But unfortunately, the reason for that is because I had to go through all this extra bullshit, Mm-hmm. So, so much for paying retail for this machine and expecting it not to be a project. It ended up being a project. So, I mean, to a lesser extent, but my God, what a hassle just to get what I paid for in the first place, I felt like the whole time this dude was just like, well, it's not the DMD. Well, what the fuck is it? It's something else on this machine that you sold me then, It's not something that I did. It's something else on this fucking machine that you sold me. So, anyway, that's where I let that die, and it is maddening situation, but I will tell you what. I will never, ever order anything from these fucking people again.
Right on.
That's it. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. But
Mike dropped.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as pinball goes this week, I guess I had more to talk about than I thought, but that's pinball for this week. So anyway, let's keep moving though. So what else were we talking about today?
Oh man, we got collecting. So,
oh yeah,
with this 3DS purchase,
is that where this whole conversation had come up?
It started with the 3DS purchase and some UPC stickered Sega Master System games.
Oh, that's right.
So this week, Mitch and I were conversating, and we're going back and forth and saying, hey. Man, and this is me talking. I was like, man, I want to get this 3DS, but then I just spent my $200 on a Golden Axe Warrior that has a UPC, and then and for those that don't know, the UPC Sega Master System releases are the North American releases that had the UPC on the box.
The only difference between the PAL and the US are the UPCs.
The only difference, right? And so
there are 4 of them.
Yeah, Spider-Man, Golden Axe Warrior, Sonic, and Strider. Right? And so we start talking and going like, at some point there's all of these systems that we want, and all of these systems and games and things that we identify that we need, and at some point there's just not enough money to go around to get them all.
I firmly believe you could have all the money in the world and you'd still spend the rest of your life collecting every little piece of everything that we wish we could collect. We'd still probably spend every minute of the rest of our lives trying to fucking acquire all of this stuff,
Well, yeah, and it's because there's always something, right?
Yeah.
There's always something. So this kind of got me to thinking a little bit, going like, okay, I really need to draw a line in the sand. What am I really going to spend my money on here? Because I have a couple other projects outside of video game collecting, and going, I'm kind of like a dog in a ball. You throw one ball and I'm going to chase it. Then all of a sudden another ball goes and I'm like, oh, I want that one, and dot. And it's just the 3DS XL or the 3DS, the new 3DS, the Vita collecting, the Wii U collecting, the Sega Master System collecting.
The Atari now.
The Atari, right? And the next thing you know, you go, I can't A, collect all these things because it's too much to keep track of, and B, it's just way too much money.
I'm with you. And I had the same thought about even just one system like the NES. And we talked about NES extensively last week, but with my particular collection, about 240 games, I was like, I'm collecting Nintendo games, like NES games, right? And I have, some high dollar ones, but, it just dawned on me at one point. I think that's when we were doing the Sega Master System collection, because I haven't bought a NES game probably in 3 or 4 years at this point. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to collect all these. There's no way.
Right, and so that kind of brings up where I was at. Like, when it comes to collecting all of them or all of a particular system, I mean, that's where it starts to hit a wall for me.
Yeah.
Right, because a lot of people go like, I'm going to collect what I play. I'm going to collect the rares. I'm going to collect this, or with Wii U,
or from company,
I'm going to collect the Nintendo published games. Right, but things like the Vita, I'm like, I don't have a thing. And then there's the limited run games, which certainly cool that exists, but I'm like, I don't want to spend $100 a Vita game. And I just started to go, how do I prioritize what I spend money on?
It's like you really actually, to be a collector of so many things, you really have to like stop and organize yourself and be like, and prioritize and everything. Because again, like going back to the NES collection for me, like you have to pick a specific niche, like, okay, maybe the Tengen games, the black carts, or even the couple that they have officially published with Nintendo, like maybe getting all those carts. I remember doing that, or maybe all the oh God, what is it? Learning Tree or whatever, like the ridiculous Bible games that they had that I thought were hilarious. I collected those at one point, or you could collect the porn games if you have enough money to collect those, or like. If you just find, you kind of have to, in a library like that, that's 780 some deep, I think, like for that particular system, you kind of just got to figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I hit. So I've kind of sat here and went, okay, I've got the Master System stuff, and I want to finish that off. And both of us are pretty close. You need an Outrun Blue and an Enduro Racer with a manual.
Well, I just need the manual for the Enduro Racer and the Blue Outrun, exactly.
Right, and I need a manual for the Ghostbusters, and I need a UPC Sonic, and I need the Blue Outrun.
Yep.
And you go, okay, well, that's where I want to focus my time. And I also have the modern gaming stuff, which I love, and it doesn't change the fact that I want to buy games here and there that I'm going to play on these other systems, but I don't know if I'm going to buy games that I just see and go, oh, that's a good deal, or oh, I need to collect that, which leads me to go, I'm probably going to get rid of the Atari stuff, because I fell onto that, right? I never intended to collect Atari. I just got a great deal, right. And it turned out that there was a pile of, 7,200 games in there.
It's just, yeah, I understand. Absolutely. I mean, it's such a cool thing, but then again, you only have a limited amount of space too.
Well, that's the other part.
I do.
And the space thing comes up, and it's just this tough thing where I sit there and struggle with it because I want to keep everything. Because I love all of it. I love the history of it. I love having it. But you look around and go like, am I going to play these? No. I'm not. And would I rather have that money for other stuff? And like sometimes the answer is yes. And it kind of goes back to the collecting aspect where there's probably somebody else that would better appreciate the Atari stuff I have on my shelf.
Right.
And so that's a tough, it's a tough, it's kind of this tough game because even stuff like the 3DS that I just picked up, did I need it? No. I'm going to use it more, so this is a kind of an exception. But there are so many times that I see stuff and I'm like, oh shit, that's a good deal. I need to buy that. And then I never stop and go, do I need to buy that? Because you would have bought the 3DS today and you're like, but do I need to buy that? And you're like, well, no, maybe not.
Well, yeah, I had to really think it through because I'm spending a buttload of money elsewhere, on other video game related things.
Right. And so, yeah, it's tough to prioritize. I mean, do you have I'm sitting here trying to figure out what is my collecting motto moving forward? Is it only buy what I'm going to play? Well, no. Because I'm going to buy things that I don't end up playing. Like, I can play Outrun. Right? I don't need to buy the blue Outrun because I have Outrun Red. Is it only buy what I can get completes? Complete collections? Well, no, because I still want to... I'm not going to ever have an entire NES collection or a SNES collection. Right. But I still want to buy those. It's like this... it's almost just this piecemeal policy of collecting where it's like, what works for you? You know what I mean?
Well, it's weird too because not weird, but I've got I never intended to collect Super NES stuff because I've got my, I've got a SNES and I've got my Superboy, and I'm perfectly happy with the EverDrive that I'm using with them. I really, I'm not a collector, but I have 25 games and they're just taking up space right now, and I really am running out of space as far as stuff goes. I really don't need them. And in fact, I've thought about unloading them, and even some of my NES stuff. It just takes up so much space. So I don't know. Yeah,
well, and that's another thing. And we've talked about this in the past, people doing that and kind of becoming actual sellouts and then saying, well, collecting's dumb because you could do this. And I don't think that's what we're saying. Right?
Not at all.
Yeah,
no,
right. Collect how you collect.
If that's what you think, we're saying, then you're not listening.
No. I just want to be clear there. But part of me is I wonder if we are going to see a bubble pop, kind of with this.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot. I
kind of hope so.
Well, so do I. Because then I would find space for more stuff. But it's it's $100 for a Vita game or a. $200 for a Sega Master System game. I can't sustain that. The only reason I'm willing to do it now is because we're so close. Right? Where it's okay, I'm going to spend it to get this collection knocked out. But then part of it is just, I can't do that in other areas. And so that's kind of that's this tough part and going I'm such a video game fan. I want everything. Unfortunately, everything isn't an option. And so you kind of just dial it back and say, all right, well, what can I get? What can I do here? So,
well, yeah, and with that today, I'm I was so tempted to buy one of the new 3DSs. Again, it's easy to spend your money. It's easy to spend my money if it's you. So Mike is sitting here torturing me. Hey, he's this store, sending me screenshots of this store has one available. This store has one available. I'm nah, I'm very, very tempted. I was take a picture of it outside of the box. I'm let's see pictures of it. And in my head, I'm God, how can I justify buying one of these? And, thankfully there's a little bit of restraint left in there, rattling around in there somewhere that I was I just can't. I can't do it. I would love to do it, but I cannot do it. And speaking of spending your money, Mike, Slick Deals this week has they pointed out that Toys R Us has a buy two for $30 on Nintendo Selects, and now that Luigi's Mansion is a Nintendo Select. You totally have to buy that if you don't own that game already.
I have it. Yeah, I have Luigi.
Oh, you do? Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm spending some of our listeners' money.
No, I have it actually. So last night, so everything on my so right now on my 3, here, let me look at it because I've been carrying it with me all day. I have the Link Between Worlds, which is digital, Zelda 4 Swords, Donkey Country 3D, Super Mario 3D Land, the original Zelda, and then I think that's that's the games I have digitally, and then I've got a pile of other 3DS games upstairs: Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion, Bravely Default, a bunch of other stuff upstairs. So I'm actually, now that I have a 3DS that I actually prefer to play, I'm going to jump into some of those. So.
And you know what? Since I'm gonna jump back into mine too, I kind of put mine down for like the last month or so, and I was playing the crap out of that thing. I'm gonna pull that out again tonight. I'm gonna play some Star Fox 64 remake or Ocarina of Time. You know, I have been on that one on and off. Great game, and I don't know. There's still some stuff on the 3DS that I own that I haven't even played yet because I get so like I'm playing other stuff. It's not like I'm just buying it or whatever. I'm just like. I just haven't gotten to it yet. The Mega Man collection is cool, but it's actually not in 3D. I haven't really played that though. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm still like, wow, God, you know what? I think after we get done podcasting tonight, I'm going to go play some 3DS. Why not?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So,
I don't have a ton else on it other than it's kind of that crazy thing where you kind of hit a wall collecting wise and you start to see money go out the door, and all of a sudden you hit the brakes and go, I really need to decide where I'm going to spend this money. And I was on that Vita thing and went, I might still grab Retro City Rampage at some point, but I can't jump down that Vita hole. And for me, it's strictly going to be finally finishing up that Master System piece at some point, and then essentially just grabbing the stuff that I plan on playing. Maybe boosting the Genesis collection a little bit, the SNES collection here and there. But I'm not going to go out of my way to buy stuff that I don't plan on actually playing. And I feel like that's probably the right way to do it.
Yeah. Or just like branching out into new stuff too. It's like, it's already like really hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel for like any particular things, except for the Master System. Like we're pretty much seeing that one through to the end, and we're so close.
Right, and then for me on the Wii U, just the fact that like the Nintendo published games, I need like 4.
Yeah, I mean you might as well.
So I might as well just knock that out for the couple $100 or whatever. So
that's what I would do priority wise. It's like it's hard because even we were talking about the Nintendo movie last week or whatever, it's not about like, even if you have eBay and like the whole, like all online at your disposal, like you still can't find certain things, like Blue Outrun. I mean, we've seen, one complete one.
And I missed it for $100.
God, I'm still pissed about that, dude.
Yeah.
I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like,
cold sweats. I've actually been posting wanted on Craigslist I've been renewing it now for about 6 months, saying I'll pay $300 or negotiable.
Right.
I don't know why I said negotiable. Some negotiable, but whatever. And no bites. So I don't know.
It's just, yeah. I mean, if I had, it's whatever the cost when it comes up. We just kind of got to grab that. If we would have known this now, back then, I would have probably put like $500 as my top bid on that, and then just let it come back and come up to like $150, and I could have felt really good about it. But, or one of us. But I was saying this the other day too. Speaking of which, it's going to come up. We're going to find like 3 in 1 week, and they're going to be like $12 a piece.
Yeah, so, or even if they're not, so it's weird because these things do kind of go in runs, oddly enough, and
they do. When
you just got to kind of keep an eye on it. I mean, even these Golden Axe Warrior UPCs, there was like 4 in the last week 3. And a half. The Strider, you just got one, and I just got a second one on accident. So they kind of go in runs.
Yeah, well, they really do. When Rambo, because we hadn't seen a Rambo for like 3 years, like ever.
No.
We hadn't actually ever seen one. And then one came up one morning. I bought shit because one came up for like $49.99 shipped. And it was in mint condition. I was like, oh my God, I got a Rambo. And then, maybe a month and a half went by, and then a sealed one came up for like $17. I was like, oh my God. And then another one came up for like $17 or $30. I don't remember the prices, but it's just like, and then I saw another one that I actually didn't win. I didn't put the price up high enough because I already had, I had two and you have one. So we don't need any more Rambos. But yeah, and of course, ever since there are no signs of Rambos. So it's weird how stuff just pops up in clusters like that. You never know.
Yeah, you don't.
But anyways.
And so, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of, that's, part of that's also the fun that I've had with the Master System is I've taken a huge break and it kind of burnt me out. And I've always said if an Outlook pops up, regardless, like if you find it,
Outrun.
It's yours, or Outrun, yeah. Or if I find it, like I'm sending it your way first. I burnt out. Like I don't feel like just out of pure collecting that I don't feel like I've put the time in to earn that. So if I come across it, like I've said it before and I'll say it again, like it's coming to your house first and then I'll just wait on mine because A, I fucked up the first one, and then B, just I got so burnt out on it. I was just like, F this. I can't do it anymore. And you've always been nose to the grind on all of it. And you kind of have to.
I still am. I have been for years. Every single day for years. I'm on it like all the time.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's kind of, whatever. But yeah, I like that. I mean, if I were you, I would, if I were going to refocus some of the funds into something else, I would totally say adios to the 7800 collection, even though it's awesome.
Yeah. The 7800 collection is cool. But I got it just because I wanted the 7800 on the shelf. And now I have the system on the shelf, but I don't need all the boxed games and the this and the that. I just don't. And I just feel like that's money that, again, I could reinvest that money into other areas of my collecting that I would find more rewarding, And for someone else, they'll probably find the Atari collection rewarding. And I guess I would rather...
You did?
I'd rather pass it their way. I already got the Euphoria out of... getting it for 200.
Money's worth.
Yeah, I got my money's worth by just going through and going, holy shit, I'm kind of sitting on a little bit of a gold mine for what I paid. And yeah, I'm going to flip them. I'm going to make some money on it, and I'm going to reinvest it in my collection,
That's what you do, man. That's how you get an awesome collection, really.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
That's it, and that's worth talking about. That's all. It's all for decoration.
That's right. It is all for decoration, man. So anyway, but good point on all that. I have a feeling, are you going to make a run on some 3DS games this week, or are you just going to be playing a bunch of 3DS?
So I think, the one that I think I might pick up tomorrow is Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, which originally was released on Nintendo Wii U, was Xenoblade Chronicles Cross. And it was one of the few games that required the new Nintendo 3DS. It doesn't just enhance it; it really requires it. So I might grab that.
Yeah, because I was going to say I haven't actually come across anything that actually uses the new features.
Yeah, so a couple Best Buys locally have that in stock still. So I feel like I want to pick that up. Although it's like a fucking 60-hour game, but I want to play it. But I'm like, I'd rather play it on my Wii U, which goes back to like, maybe I should buy what I'm going to play. Still struggling with that one. We'll see where that lands. Otherwise, Majora's Mask is enhanced by the...
Oh, is it?
The C-Stick, yeah, because it's easier to control the camera with that little nub.
Yeah. Nice.
And then, what was the other game? Shit, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Anyway, there was another 3DS game that I was like, I could get that too. But yeah, there's a few. Oh, Hyrule Warriors, the 3DS version of Hyrule Warriors, which is essentially Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors, yeah, it's exactly.
But it runs like crap on the original 3DS. Even though they say you can run it on it, it runs like crap. So I was thinking maybe I'd pick that up. That might be a fun game for a handheld mobile platform. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna take a look at what I have to play, and then maybe make a run on a few things here and there. What you too, or do you have a pretty good backlog?
I've got a pretty good backlog, and that I kind of went nuts at that one point. I like it, so I can only do one game at a time, so I really get into whatever game I'm playing. So yeah, I've got a pretty good backlog, but I also have like the Star Fox 64 remake. I can pick that up at any point and really enjoy that. In fact, I think I'm going to play that tonight before I go to bed. So, but yeah, I want to get the Majora's Mask. I don't have the Link Between Worlds. I need to get that, and so a couple Zeldas. I really wish they would have done Wind Waker HD remaster for that, or even just Wind Waker, re-release for the 3DS would have been, because Wind Waker was amazing. That's one of my favorite. There's so many Zelda games that are so good, but like that's one that I mean I've beaten a lot of the Zelda games, but that's one that I would want to play again because it's so good.
Yeah, I have that on Wii U, and I've been meaning to replay the remake, and I just haven't got around to it because I never actually finished the GameCube version, and so I'm like, oh shit, I gotta play that. And I've started it, and then I never got back to it, and it was hard to find. And didn't it get re-released on the Wii as well, or I'm trying to remember?
Did it? No,
not.
I don't remember that.
No, maybe it didn't. But yeah, so I've never played. I played Wind Waker briefly, but I've actually never played Wind Waker. So I want to get to that.
Oh, Wind Waker is just dynamite. I got that when it came out new on GameCube, and I think I played through it twice. It's just
I actually have it on GameCube. Would you recommend that I play it on GameCube and go OG on the CRT?
I don't know. I'd play the HD version. Why not? It looks amazing either way, to be honest.
Yeah, and they said they also said they enhanced like the loading times and like fast travel, so you don't have to like always be in the boat for this extended amount of time. And
even if you did, it's still awesome. I don't know, dude. I just do whatever you want just play the game. It's dynamite. It's so good. So anyway, but yeah, I need to get into some of the new Mario Brothers 2 and stuff like that. I don't even know. I haven't even played that. So looks good though. And I don't know. I mean, I got to look through it again, but yeah, I think I'll probably get into some 3DS. I think you've kind of got me into that a little bit.
How's it? So did the Vita didn't hook you?
Not yet.
No,
not really. No, I mean,
it's a piece of tech. It's really good. I love my Vita, but like I can also see how it's not for everybody because it's not quite. It doesn't have the nostalgia, and it doesn't quite do modern, maybe good enough to really hook everybody back into it. You know what I mean?
I don't dislike it. I just haven't. I really haven't given it enough of a chance because I keep getting distracted by some other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm going to love it, and I've got a pretty good backlog of Vita games now at this point. So that I really actually do want to play. It's amazing. Like the OLED screen looks dynamite. That thing looks awesome. I love just looking at that, to be honest. I've always been about
it looks phenomenal.
It really does. So I'm into that, and I really, going back and playing Final Fantasy X, I'm like, some of the voices on there are super annoying and stuff. It's not as amazing as I remember. Like, it is good. Like, let's put it that way. But when I originally played it, it was when the PS2 first came out, and I was like, oh my God, look at this. Like the water looks real, and not really. At this point, I don't know. I've been meaning to play that again for like the last 14 years or so. And, I'm just really, I don't know. I got to find some Vita games, some actual Vita games that aren't remakes. I've got the Mortal Kombat. I don't even remember what I have on there, but I need to find some good Vita games that are just Vita games,
games, yeah, for sure.
So
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'll try to come up with something for you next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I gotta spend a few bucks here. I might end up. I'm gonna have to look through the 3DS catalog because they had the Williams collection, I think, or something, pinball collection. I was like, pinball on handhelds or video game systems is just really not that good. So I don't know what I want. That's my problem right now. I really don't know what I want, but I'll tell you what, I'll come up with something by next week, and I'll let you know.
Right on.
So, anyway, but speaking of which, I think I'll probably defer anything else till next one, unless you got anything else to talk about.
I got nothing, man.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go. So for RetroGameFix.com, the Retro Jones podcast number 87.
It's 87.
All right. This is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.